Hi, it's Fix That Car here. How to change an auxiliary belt. In this video I'm going to change two auxiliary belts on two different cars, and they're very different circumstances. The first car is a Vauxhall Corsa. It's a 3-cylinder engine and there's a large engine mounting bracket that the belt goes through, so that's going to be relatively complicated. That engine mounting bracket is going to have to be removed and the engine will have to be supported during the process. The other belt is for a Hyundai. Now this sits underneath the engine mounting, so there's no need to support the engine or remove the bracket, but the tensioner is rather different to on the Vauxhall. It's tensioned manually with an adjuster that's just below my finger and loosening off the alternator here. First thing to do is disconnect the battery, then support the engine. I've used a single scissor jack here, a piece of wood, and I've supported on the end of the sump. It's not a good idea to support in the middle of the sump because that's a weak point, but if you support at the end, there's like a vertical wall there that will take the load. Then remove this left-hand engine mounting. I've loosened these bolts here. There's actually 3 bolts into the engine, and there's 2 onto the top of a mounting on the wing here. Let's take these out. That's the mounting out of the way, which now gives us full access to the belt and its tensioner down there. This is a 3-cylinder engine, so I don't need any additional access. If you're working on a 4-cylinder engine, you'll need to remove the inner wing liner and the airbox to give you this level of access. Next thing I'm going to do is loosen this tensioner, take the belt off, then I'm going to take the tensioner off, and I have a replacement idling wheel for this particular tensioner. To release the tensioner, you get something on the nut in the centre of the wheel here. Press down and insert a drift into the eye that appears there. That will then hold the tensioner in a loose position. Allowing the belt to be removed. And then remove the 2 tensioner bolts. I've already removed the one at the bottom. Lift away the tensioner. Inspect it closely. This wheel, I can feel a little bit of movement in the bearing. There was a slight squeak as the car starts off. So I've bought myself a replacement wheel, which looks pretty good. I should fit that to there. Also check your belt that you've taken off against the new one. Critically look at the length, which is 1230, and we can see somewhere on here 1230, so we've got the same numbers. Make sure it's written on the belt as well somewhere, just to make sure you've got exactly the right length. To replace the idler wheel, you need to get a very good grip of the tensioner assembly in a vise, because it will be tight. And onto the centre nut and pull, and out it comes. When you come to put the replacement wheel on, again the bolt's got to be pretty tight. Make sure some thread lock is used. This is one wheel you don't want to fall off. So on with the new wheel. The washer that holds it in. Got some thread lock there. And as shall tighten this up very tight. That's it. Put the tensioner back in place. Tighten down and torque up. There's a big bolt and small bolt on these Vauxhalls. The big bolt is a higher torque than a small bolt. Small bolt's only 20 newton meters and the large one is 50 newton meters. Thread the new belt through. It might be less necessary to ease the tensioner a little bit, even though the locking pin is in place. We'll see whether that's necessary or not. Looks like it will be. Then remove the pin, let the tensioner take the strain. Then double check to make sure the belt is correctly positioned in all its grooves. Maneuver the engine mounting back in place. Put all the bolts in loosely. Then tighten up to the specified torque. To remove the Hyundai belt, loosen the clamp bolt and loosen the tensioner off and loosen the top bolt to the alternator. That then enables the alternator to swing in and the belt can be slipped off from around its various cogs. Looking for a measurement on this. I can't find one. So what I'll do is I'll compare the two lengths. I think I've got the right one. Right, I shall now reverse this procedure and fit the new one. And then tighten up, and the tension you're looking for, and you won't be able to see what my hand is doing, it's enough to just twist the belt by a quarter of a turn. Looking at the used belt, that means on its longest run, just being able to twist it by a quarter of a turn. So that was really quite easy compared to the Vauxhall. It was just two sizes of socket and no engine mounting to remove. So why have I replaced these two belts? Looking at this one, it's not cracked, it would pass any inspection, but this is 5 years old. This car's 5 years old and this belt's been on for 5 years, and I've simply replaced it at a 5-year interval because I know in the next 2 or 3 years something's going to happen to this, so why take the risk? For the sake of £15 or so, I can put a new belt on and completely forget it. The wheel I've replaced on the Vauxhall is because this has covered 70-odd thousand miles. Actually, it's not too bad, it's not too unsmooth, there's a little bit of movement there, but again that's just a precautionary thing because I know that bearing will fail at some point in the near future. And a final thought before you think of throwing these old belts away: they've got a place, and the place is in the kitchen. You know, those pot lids that you cannot get off for, you know, you just can't get the grip on them. If you wrap one of these belts, just cut a section about, grip it, and as easy as anything, those lids will come off. So cut a section of belt, clean it up, and give it to your wife in the kitchen.